Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of e-commerce growth show. We're gonna talk about Black Friday and Cyber Monday preparedness. I'm here with Kunle Campbell. Hello, Kunle, and thank you for being
Hi,
part of e-commerce growth show.
no, a pleasure. Hi, Valentin. How's it going? I think we've known each other for years, since about
Yeah, yeah,
2014 or 15.
exactly. Yeah,
Yeah,
lot of time in this e-commerce industry. You have done this podcasting and show since ever, and I admire you for the
right.
for being an early mover in this area, and also for the consistency and the value that you bring to the industry.
So thank you so
So
much.
let me present you like we do here. So Kunle, he's an outsourced e-commerce CMO and advisor. He is visual creative oriented yet pragmatically guided by data and testing. He coaches ambitious retail teams focused on unlocking growth through acquisition, CLV, and UX optimization. He is also the host of 2X e-commerce podcast and has interviewed over 250 direct-to-consumer e-commerce leaders. So, Kunle, please tell us first how you've got into the e-commerce industry, because I'm always asking this question our guests.
All right. Yeah. So I've been involved in digital marketing since 2005, and I started out like with lead generation for an international real estate business. I was the digital marketing manager at the time, and I worked with that brand up until 2011. So from 2005, 6 to 2011. But I was also doing sort of side gigs, side jobs, just side hustles,
Yeah,
affiliate marketing. I was doing lead generation in finance. I was predominantly lead generation. I was a lead generation guy over those periods. Now, in 2009, I stopped going in-house with that company and I moved more as a consultant to that company. And it allowed me sort of extend my view or, to the world. So I remember in 2012, I got a referral from a hosting company I was quite familiar with because they were building like Magento sites. They were based out in Manchester in the UK. And Ben, the founder of that hosting company, was like, "Look, we have a few Magento clients that might benefit from what you're doing." So this is like SEO, lead generation, and pay per click.
yeah,
And I was like, okay, wow. As in, I started to see the numbers these guys were doing, and I was perplexed. These were like mid-sized companies. They were like 10 million plus in revenue businesses from e-commerce only, and they were also doing like marketplaces. So it started to get me thinking. So I put together an SEO workshop somewhere in Oxford, in Central Oxford, inside business school in Oxford. And what happened was like I realized quite clearly that the people that were the businesses that were getting the most value from that workshop, it was paid, were the e-commerce businesses. They just naturally gravitated towards me. They asked the best questions. I had the most value to offer to them, and that's when
yeah.
the penny kind of like dropped for me. And then in 2013, I just went full on e-commerce. And so 2015 was when I think I set up. It was 2014 that I really got serious with a podcast. And in 2013, I was just trying to figure out, besides SEO, what are the other elements, in a besides search, what are the other elements in e-commerce that I should be aware of? And then I started to with the podcast. I started to meet a lot of CRO guys. I met Pep Lyer. I met Paul Rogers. I can't quite. Yeah, I met a few people. I went for Digital Elite Camp in Estonia, and that just blew my mind up in terms of like the opportunity in terms of conversion rate optimization and the like. Then another very pivotal moment for me was in 2017. I was like the outsourced CMO for a startup. There was like a funded startup. They were funded to the tune of about $1 million or so to start to sell shoes online. And the founder of that company said, "Kunle, you need to come on this meeting." I was like, what are you talking about?" He said, "Come to this meeting." He showed me an e-commerce site that was generating up to £1 million doing with Facebook advertising. And and then the scales fell off my eyes. Like, look, you could optimize without you could drive traffic via multiple channels, and that Facebook was like a viable channel. And then I started to think quite widely, and for now, I'm more into CRO. I'm more into Facebook media buying, and then every other thing like email, like Google, advice at a more strategic level, right? So I also work with Facebook. Facebook have a local news accelerator, and I'm the in-house um, e-commerce expert. And what I do is mainly CRO there. I've reviewed over 150 checkout flows for news organizations around the world. I've been to Australia, I've been to Brazil, US several times, Germany, France, just working on that CRO bit and bringing my e-commerce expertise into the news industry. So that's it in a nutshell. So right now, I work with a handful of businesses. They're all e-commerce businesses at different stages. Some are in the 10 figures and the founder is still in control. And I'm like his like right hand man from a marketing standpoint. I work with another business. They are like a traditional retail business, and they've just undergone a digital transformation. And I'm just helping them get to that seven figure and then beyond. I'm just working with the director of marketing and just ensuring that they hit those targets. So that's me in a nutshell.
Excellent. So, Kunle, as the topic is around Black Friday and Cyber Monday preparedness, tell us what is a seed audience, by the way?
A seed audience is the core, is eyeballs, people that have your attention, essentially. And they could have your attention from multiple channels. But when you look at an audience, who are we speaking to? It could be an email list. It could be as simple as an email list or an SMS list, or it could be a Facebook audience. So it could be website visitors. So back in the days, we just used to see traffic in analytics, and there was no real tangible way to speak to the traffic. But what platforms like Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, and Snapchat offer is it's a conversation. It's like broadcast channels essentially. And so those audiences are people. I no longer sort of look at e-commerce from a traffic and a conversion standpoint per se. I'm looking at people and into different kinds of segments and different kinds of ways I talk to people. So let's say like I'm in a school and you have like the over 12-year-olds, you have the under 7-year-olds, you have the in between 7 to 12. The way I speak to the under 7-year-olds will be different to the way I speak to the over 12-year-olds. So an audience is people, essentially. A seed audience are the people you have direct access to as a direct-to-consumer e-commerce business.
Yeah. Kunle, you've stated something regarding the different channels. What's your take on using multiple channels and how you decide what channels are a good fit for an e-commerce?
That's a very good question. So essentially, selecting a channel depends on the kind of business you're in. In today's world, in today's B2C world, when you're talking business to consumer and you're in e-commerce, there's no doubt that the Facebook, Instagram platform is one platform to be at. But you have to look at it from a earned, owned, and bought perspective in terms of the media you're buying. Because the end goal of media is to generate audiences, right? So from an owned perspective, every kind of business, regardless, should have an email list today, an SMS list, and probably a push notification list.
In terms of the push notification, do you think these are still a thing, or aren't these too intrusive? What do you think about it?
Sorry, I missed you. I got cut off for about half of. minute.
Can you hear me now? Well,
Yes, I can.
yeah, I was asking about push notification.
Yeah.
Do you believe these are still a thing, or do you think these are too intrusive for in terms of the user experience? What's your suggestion? How to use them without being too pushy with push notification?
To me, push notifications are just like SMS in the fact that um, they they're very personal. They come into sessions and they're there. Now you have to use push notifications wisely, and that's why for something like Black Friday or your Cyber Week, that's a golden opportunity. But if you're using your push notifications willy nilly, just abusing that access, you get unsubscribes. You will get
Yeah,
unsubscribes. And the nice thing about push notifications is that they work on Android devices and will potentially pop up as actual notifications on your Android. With iOS, that's not the case. And then when they're in
yeah,
a desktop browser, regardless, it works in all browsers. So use
yeah.
it sparingly. Like when your campaign's about to start, there is no excuse not to use it. But if you're using it on a daily basis, then it's pretty much spam.
Yeah. Got it. So, Kunle, what do you have? What's your take on, let's say, to be prepared about Black Friday? How can you stand out on this in this huge noise which is
Yeah.
piling up right now?
There are three key steps. Three key steps brands should be aware of. The first is product launch, right? So, there are two ways to sort of improve conversions in general. One is to amplify motivation levels from your customers and have them just souped up in the way that no matter what barriers in their way, they're just going to run and overcome those barriers.
Yeah,
And the other is conversion rate optimization, where you reduce the friction, right? Now, with a product launch, you're working on the motivation bit. Now, a company that does product launches excellently. I know they're the gold standard, but it doesn't mean that, every other retailer cannot do it. Is Apple. Now, what Apple do is they have a September event. It's a Q3. I know we're in Q4 now, but moving forward, before your Black Friday in Q3, release a product, a new product, or a product improvement that gets people, your audience, excited, like super excited to gain their attention and to about your product, about your brand. Do that so that in Q4 you're prepping them up for gifting. Now, one of the biggest gifting items in the last 5 years has been the AirPods. And the AirPods surprisingly was released in September. I think September 13, September 7th, 2016. So that in itself is getting people prepped up. So even if they're not ready to purchase in Q3, in Q4, you're priming them up that look, this is gifting season. Just seize this opportunity. We have a reason for you to come back to us. So don't be
yeah,
boring. Now, number two is audience building. Now, you talked about the noise, in Black Friday. Now, Black Friday, let's put this and set this in stone. Black Friday, Cyber Monday, Cyber Week, they are pretty much a retargeting event, right? You're going to find that 80 to 90% of all sales are going to come from people that already know your brand, that already know you. And then another 20% will come from, people who are making that
yeah,
impulse purchase. Okay.
yeah,
So you need to start to take what I call benchmarks, right? So when I mean benchmarks, I mean you need to start benchmarking your email list. Now, it doesn't really stop there. You have an entire email list, right? You need to start to benchmark who are my VIP? What's my VIP customer list? So at this point in time, last October, on the 1st of October 2019, what was the size of my email list, right? How many VIP customers did we have? How many engaged subscribers did we have? How many engaged customers did we have? How many inactive customers did we have? How many inactive leads did we have? How many low
yeah,
spenders did we have? you need to benchmark those numbers and then set a target, a monetary target on, okay, how much, how do we want to double sales in Q4, this Q4 as compared to last year? Look, if your list, right, is pretty much the same size or has not sort of grown, if you've not grown your VIP customer list, your engaged customers list, if it's static, if it's regressing, I can guarantee you that your Q4 of 2020 is just going to come to nada. It's going to either regress or it's the incremental, the increment you expect is just not there. Numbers don't lie. The only way you could potentially hack this is if you get your customers, your existing customer base, really excited with new products, or
Yeah.
the products you sell are like gifting products, as in you know on a regular basis that people buy your products to gift others. So your messaging in this respect from now should be prepping them up towards that, gifting just mentality essentially. So in regards to like your VIP customer list, what should you be looking at? You should be looking at recency. I most times your recency will not go beyond 180 days, but it all depends on the kind of the kind of products you're selling. You're looking at frequency, over this particular cohort, which I think customers might lapse, how many times do we expect them to buy from us? And then finally, the monetary value, how much, in fact, this is like the major thing, how much have they spent with us in the last 180 days? And and you need to sort of get that nice 20%, look at the median and then look at the 20, that's your top 5%, for instance. If those numbers are significant, then you have your VIP list. Your engaged subscribers basically are people who've opened or clicked on your emails regularly. They're not necessarily customers. Your engaged customers are people who've purchased from you within a certain cohort and within a certain cohort of time, and they still click and open your emails. Those guys, you could either think about moving them to VIP customers, or you could think about actually getting them to purchase, because they are already customers and they're already engaging with your emails. Now, the challenge for many e-commerce managers at the moment would be, who are inactive and leads or subscribers and are lost customers. Those guys, you need to probably generate a strong enough incentive or lower the bar for them to be, at least to activate them to becoming customers, again. For low spenders, what your major objective is to make them, purchase a bit more, right? So once you've established this, look at where you are now in October, right? And just say, okay, if your email list is grown by 10% and you're trying to grow year on year 50%, 60%, then you have a lot of work to do now. Look at your email collection strategy. Start to drive traffic, cold traffic through to your website. Focus on email collection essentially. Focus on Facebook leads campaigns, whether you're getting emails in, but still pre-qualifying them, put them on a welcome series email, so that essentially, these people are warming up. You're bringing people in. You're controlling your media. You're controlling your audience. You need control of that audience, and you need to start. It's almost like a harvest. It's like you seed. When you collect emails, you're more or less putting seeds in the ground, and then when they grow, which is BFCYM, it's pretty much the harvest time. And you need a really mature audience size to do that. Now, it doesn't stop at just email. There's your mobile phone list, which is becoming really effective. There's your push notification list. There's your Facebook Messenger list. And then you look at your audiences on Facebook. So with your Facebook audiences, you have website visitors, which is the broadest. You have view content, you have add to cart, you have initiate checkout, you have purchases. But the most important thing for Black Friday is your website visitors. You need to grow that, which essentially is traffic, essentially. Your Google AdWords remarketing list. You have your Snapchat custom audience list, and many other channels like Pinterest and even Twitter. If these pixels are on there, and you see, it's Black Friday is a retargeting campaign, is a retargeting event, and also an opportunity for you to test multiple channels, because you're not talking to cold audiences now. If these pixels are on your site now, you could just throw in like 20% of your budget into other channels and then 80% into Facebook to retarget them, and then focus on your email list. The more people, essentially, the more touch points, the more touch points if you have over that be Black Friday event, or Black Friday and Cyber Monday event, the more touch points people see your brand, the more likely you're to convince them that, look, we matter, right? So audience building is essential, and benchmarking it is where it's at.
Yeah. What I also found interesting, Kunle, is to take into account the various products for various segments of customers, because
Exactly.
while you might have VIP customers, let's say, that have the highest recency, frequency, and monetary values, you might want to give them access to the best prices early on, or to make a special selection where your margin is high enough, because they have a high spending potential, while
Exactly.
the ones that have a low monetary value but a high recency, they are mainly bargain hunters, and
Exactly.
for them you could get rid of the stock or of the goods that you simply don't want to ruin on the VIP customers. And I find this technique not really hard to do. It's just preparing different landing pages and
Pages.
email lists
Yeah.
in advance, and in this manner your VIP customers will be feeling much more appreciated, because they got this special treatment, not like the herd of average
Exactly.
customers.
Exactly. You're spot on, and it's essential. And I love what you just said in terms of like matching up products, like looking at those patterns, because once you get that VIP list, you then look at their order history, and you will spot patterns. And once you look at those order patterns, those product patterns, you just match it on, and you match your offers basically to match that, and it becomes much more personalized for that cohort of people. And I love what you said about the bargain hunters, where they have low monetary value but they still purchase from you. They'll be more enthused and more motivated off the back of a discount. Your VIP customers do not necessarily need or crave a discount. They're like business class and first class in an airplane. They,
Yeah.
they want the special treatment.
Yeah, they just need to feel appreciated, and I think
Yeah.
this is actually the number one reason why customers are abandoning a company. The fact that they feel like the company doesn't care about them.
Yeah.
So mainly, if you make them feel appreciated, then they will be your let's say long-term customers, not to say lifetime customers, because I don't think this is this is actually real. So
Yeah,
Kunle,
true.
you said that that you are looking for recency, frequency, and monetary value. Uh, what do you think it should be done after Black Friday? Because we've seen that it was that nice cartoon, like then a miracle happens, right? So
Yeah.
we're gonna do some sales in Black Friday. The margins will not be so high, but what afterwards? Because we've seen this in pandemic, and a lot of online retailers got a flood of new customers, and then they've wasted the opportunity
Okay.
to maintain the relation with them.
Okay. All right. Uh, I'll just I'll just say this from a more philosophical standpoint. In order to master something, you need to understand yourself, right? And as a retailer, you have to understand that, okay, you're going to peak out, and besides, black swan events, such as COVID, your busiest point will be the end of November and probably the start of December. Now, things will inevitably slow down. Now, what do you do? Now, let's say hypothetically you do a site wide sale of 25% on your site for Black Friday. You're going to find some people who missed the boat. You're going to find some people who still want to purchase from you. Now, in order to, and obviously you also have to ensure that your biggest ever discounts are over that Black Friday. It's like kind of like what Amazon Prime is doing with Prime Day. Then that way you condition people so for the next event they don't want to miss it. Right now, after that, I would suggest that you start to, depending on how big your catalog is, you start to do either category forecast, discounts or offers, or multi-buy, just offers basically, particular categories, or you sort of stem it down. So 25% turns to 20%, 20% turns to 15%, and and then closer to the actual Christmas holidays, it might just be 10% off, because those people who are the last minute shoppers, they need it. There's that desperation. Now,
Yeah.
come January, you need to sort of look back. I think January is an analysis period. Look back at the performance, look back at the audience, look back at the year on year audience growth, look back at the year on year average order value off the back of all the offers you've run, look back at all your campaign performance, and see what do we need to do to the run up again to next Black Friday. I know there are other events such as Valentine's, Mother's Day, Father's Day, Easter. There's so many events, Labor Day, what have you. But again, for most retailers, the biggest points of the year is the Black Friday event. So you start to set your target. How big do we want our list to grow this year? Based on the performance of the growth. How many people do we want to have, on our Facebook audiences? How many people do we want to have? What does traffic look like? And you start to map out, what it's going to look like. And then you start to take action and allocate necessary budget towards hitting those targets. So, like many brands, unfortunately, they are like scratching their heads right now, and they don't know for sure if this Black Friday or this cyber event, this cyber week event is, going to be successful or not. I can guarantee you, if your list is double what it was last year, it will be successful. So if you've pre-planned it, so right now I'm seeing a lot of lead email sign up campaigns on
Yeah.
Facebook, and people are, panicking essentially. Why are they panicking? Because they know the size of their list. They need to grow the size, and they need to talk to more people. Marketing is about talking to people, influencing people to take action, to arouse their desire to want to take action, either awareness, interest, desire, and advocacy. So essentially, this is late right now to be running it. It could work, but why take that risk? When you could
Yeah.
have pre-planned since January.
Yeah. Kunle, as we get closer to the end of our meeting today, can you emphasize some, let's say, tips that you would give for e-commerce marketers in this moment, under this current environment?
Okay. Do you mean in COVID or do you mean Q4?
I mean Q4 post-COVID or
Okay.
during COVID. I don't know.
So a lot of chaps were like, we're running out of stock. We're running over COVID. I've been hearing lots of stories about running out of stock, running out of stock. And there's that golden opportunity to collect emails. One thing you need to start to look at is the velocity of the growth of your email list. Bang. As in, if you go to like a platform like Klaviyo, you go into any list, there's a drop down called reports. And within that report, it will show you how, on a monthly basis, how your list is growing. That is a given. And in my report, I'm putting together, around Q4, which is coming out on Monday. I get into more detail, in that respect. Now, in regards to what you need to be doing in terms of like major tips, first of all, think about your approach to sales. Are we going to have an Amazon Prime Lightning Deals Day thing? I had a client back in 2015. We worked with, they're called 7-Day Shop. They tried it for the first time, and the Black Friday was just crazy. It was the best ever. And it wouldn't really work for every brand, because what they were doing is like every hour of the day, they were just running deals, like a deal. So it just got people, and their traffic just spiked because it was like a mind control thing where you have this cohort of customers who are like lottery player type, people who just want to get deals, So they were selling like photography equipment, photography accessories like
Yeah.
batteries, memory cards and all that stuff. So every hour of the day they were doing that, and it just blew up. Now, the other options are, running separate offers, on specific days. I've seen the one where you run one on Black Friday to Sunday, and then on Monday you have a Cyber Monday deal. That's, simple to execute. There's even a simpler one, which is just site-wide,
Yeah.
Friday to Monday. And then if like you don't hit those targets, over that period, you could do an extension. So just make sure all your creatives and you have backup creatives to just fire through. Just set everything up in case.
Yeah.
The other thing you want to look at is the setup of your Facebook ads campaign. Reason why. So you see, you remember the segments of customers we talked about in email. Guess what? You could sync those segments up with the Facebook audience, and so you could make your communication with your VIP customers sort of coherent on Facebook and Instagram as it is on email, right?
Yeah.
Because those segments have been synced with your Facebook audiences. So that's another tip. Now, a few other tips. I have like a few, like 5 tips. One is leverage influencers on Black Friday, Cyber Monday. Just you must have like a network of influencers. Let them, just give them. They don't even just pay them, right? Whether they're micro influencers or big influencers, let them give the word, and they have to have a lot of affinity with your brand.
Yeah.
So if you're selling gadgets, get MKBD if you can to give you a shout out, right? But obviously that's almost impossible. But you see, you get the gist. Get those influencers to let their audiences know about the discounts. Make sure you have like special discounts for their audiences. You could get really clever and creative for that segment. Set up push notifications, super important. If you haven't done it already. One thing you should also do is set up persistent carts, shopping carts. A lot of people don't do that. Where I'm signed into a website on my phone, and when I
Yeah.
get onto my desktop, I've added items to my cart on my phone. There's nothing there on my desktop, even when
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
signed in. So persistent carts, and that's super important because somebody might be wondering, they might be adding to carts on Friday, and then they're like late shoppers where, or Cyber Monday almost midnight, they want to just order and then they miss the boat.
Yeah.
Another thing is
That's
like just extend it a little bit to like 3-4 hours just to cater for time zones. Like in a country such as America, where you have East and West Coast, just make sure that everything is set to Pacific in the US, and then extend it, till 6 o'clock in the morning, just for those late people.
for the Eastern.
I see trickles of stuff coming through. Um, yeah. Just I think that's
Excellent, Carl.
those are my tips. Yeah. One final thing is adjust your evergreen flows, right? So the 101 of email marketing in e-commerce is flows, right? You have your abandoned cart, abandoned checkouts, you have your browse abandonment on product pages, you have your welcome series, you have your
Yeah. True.
your post-purchase flow. Make them customized for Black Friday. A lot of people just leave it that way,
Yeah.
and you're leaving a lot of money on the table essentially. So
Yeah.
customize it.
Yeah. That's great. So I think the best would be to build to plan ahead and to have a huge list of check boxes to tick before running the show. So Kunle, you've been great. Let us know, where can people find you if they want to get in touch with you.
Okay, just search for 2x e-commerce, 2x e-commerce. You get to my website. There's a ton of resources in the podcast section. I'm organizing the guides and evergreen guides for e-commerce, businesses and resources section.
Yeah.
That's going to come out at the end of Q4. And essentially what that's going to happen is you're going to see guides, essentially, how to set up a push notification campaign, how to set up an email, campaign. I'm working with a few brands on the best brands out there. Like I'm working with Gorgias on customer experience. There's a lot in the pipeline. We're building out that website. But subscribe to the podcast. Sign up to my email list on 2x e-commerce, and yeah, that's it.
Perfect. So it's been great. Thanks a lot for being with us today, Kunle, and all the best from Bucharest.
All right, thank you so much, Valentine, and bye bye from Oxford, UK.
Bye, everyone.
All right, cheers.